Remote work is no longer a luxury. Many businesses are better able to serve their clients because their staff and employees are able to be efficient and operate effectively even when they're not in the office. A study done by Gallup found that 4 in 5 US employees in remote capable jobs currently work either hybrid or fully remote. More than half of these employees prefer a hybrid arrangement. Another study of more than 1,000 employees found that allowing employees to work from home 2 days a week reduced resignation by 1/3 without affecting that employee's performance. So if you're a small business looking to grow, then allowing remote work can be a strategic advantage. It will allow you to hire beyond your immediate location. It will allow you to retain your top performing employees, and it will allow your employees to be able to work more efficiently in an environment or in a place that they are sometimes more comfortable to be in. But that is only if your technology is ready for remote work. Hi, my name is Isaias. I am a top-rated freelancer on Upwork. I've earned over $100,000 on the platform, helping businesses just like yours take control of their technology. In this video, we're going to look at 3 things you need for a successful remote work setup. Firstly, we're going to look at what a proper remote work environment looks like. Then we're going to look at the different level of access a remote employee should have. And then we're going to look at the remote work operating system that keeps everything working together. I'll explain exactly what that means later in the video. Let's get into it. So allowing someone to work remotely can be your strategic advantage. You're able to tap into other markets. You're able to access a wide array of talent. You're able to find persons that can be a perfect fit for your role or for your business or for the things that you're trying to build. But to allow your staff or your potential employee to work remotely, you need to build what is called a remote work environment. For the past 7 years I've worked remotely, I have seen a variety of remote work setups. Some of them were very tight and restricted, and others were a bit more on the loose side. But in all the environments I've been in, there were a set of tools, functions, and capabilities that I was able to do that I was not able to do. Look at it this way. Your employee or your potential employee is utilizing their home computer, their personal computer. You don't know the state of their personal computer, if it has any virus or if it has any malware on it. And you don't want to expose your business information to a personal or to someone's personal computer that might have some malware or some tool or software that could potentially damage your business. So what do you need in your remote work environment? Well, the first thing that you need is to identify your device. What do I mean by that? The device can be the personal work machine that's the employee's own. It can be a virtual machine, virtual computer, or it can be a company-owned machine that is sent or shipped to the employee. Now, the device that the remote employee or remote staff is using, it's important to know, because when you're setting up your environment, you're setting it up based on the device that is being used. So for instance, if one of your staff is working from their personal device, you know that you can allow certain information on their personal device, or you can restrict certain information from their personal device. If you are utilizing a virtual machine or virtual computer, you know that you have a bit more freedom to control that particular device, and you can allow more things on that particular device. And if it's a company-owned device, then you have complete control of it, and you know exactly what you want on the device, and you know exactly what you don't want on that particular device. So the device that you're choosing has to be something that is in line with where you are in your business at this time. I worked with a firm when he was just starting his business, and he started with a remote team that they utilize a personal device. So because they utilize a personal device, I was able to set up his cloud environment so that the team can only utilize or access the files and folders from that particular cloud environment, since they were utilizing their personal device. So that is something that you have to consider when you're building your remote work environment. The other thing is the right workspace. So what do I mean when I say the right workspace? I'm referring to the tools the software or the features that you are allowing your team to use to build that workspace, right? So not necessarily referring to a particular software, like for instance, Google has Google Workspace and Microsoft has the Microsoft 365 suite, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. What is important is that you have a list of tools that your team knows that they'll be using to perform their work. So for instance, it could be if they need to make some calls, they have a tool that they need to use to log in to make their calls. If they need to send out emails, they have a tool that they use for them to send out the emails. If they need to reach out to any client, they have a portal or some other tool that they need to reach out to that particular client. If they need to enter any information and any data, they have that tool to enter the information or to store that information. So your workspace is basically the tools that you're using in that device, be it the personal device, a virtual computer, or a company device that is used to operate or to function in your business. So the key takeaway is this: your remote work environment is defined by the workspace or your tools and the device, be it your personal, virtual, or company owned devices. I have a video I'll put somewhere on the screen where I explain the 4 different devices that's used for remote work and the pros and cons for each of them. And if you're interested in knowing what common tools or software make up a remote work environment, let me know in the comments. And if you're interested, I will make a video on that. Moving on to the second point, control remote access. So now that you have defined what device your remote team will be using and what workspace or environment that they will be in, you need to now control the access. If your team member is working remotely, multiple people might have access to the device. They might be sharing their device with their family or their friends. So you need to ensure that the identity that is being used to access your company's information is one that is secure and is one that is protected. So even if the device falls into the wrong hand, the information that is stored in the company's accounts will remain protected. So you need to have one secure identity. If you're using, again, Google Workspace, that's your Google account. If you're using Microsoft 365, that's typically a Microsoft 365 account. And you will protect those accounts with things like MFA. You will protect these accounts with a very strong password. You'll use multiple factor authentications to ensure that that account is protected for your business. And then if you want to take it a step further, you can also implement certain policies. And certain policies might be defined like you can only access this particular folder, this particular information when you are at this particular location, right? When you have this particular IP address, when you have only this particular, when the device you're accessing it from is meeting these policies. That is something that can also be done. But you need to control the level of access that you have when you have remote employees and you are allowing your remote employees to work and to utilize your company's files. Then you need to only give them the access that they need. In the IT world, you call that least privilege, or you call that zero trust. And basically what this means is that you only give the staff or the employee the access level that they need to deploy or to do their work. Nothing more, nothing less than what they need. If they need to access anything else, it needs to be verified, it needs to be approved. That's why it's called zero trust. So there's no trust only when it is approved or only when it is requested. Now, that's again an IT principle, a framework, school of thought. Doesn't mean that you don't trust the employee. Doesn't mean that you don't trust the level of work that they're doing. It's just that you want to ensure that your system is protected, and if it is truly them, then they will be able to get access to the environment. There were several times when I was working for a particular firm and I was doing some work for them, and my phone, I had to change my phone. So I had MFA on my particular phone and I had to change it to get my new phone, so I had to change my MFA, that's my multi-factor authentication. And before they could approve my new device, they called me. They called me on Teams on my computer just to ensure that it was really me that was asking for my MFA to be changed to another device, right? So that is the level of protection, level of control that is sometimes needed in a remote environment. The key takeaway is this: remote access should feel easy for the employee, but stay controlled by the business. At the end of the day, you control the files, the information that is there, and you are limiting or allowing certain access to different things depending on the role, depending on the responsibility, but keeping the principle of least privilege, that's only the privilege that they need to do the work, and nothing more, nothing less, and zero trust, they need to verify that they are who they say they are every time either something changes or a new level of access needs to be given. Now you have been able to control or define your remote access, then you need to be able to build a remote work operating system. So what do I mean by that? Your remote work operating system is how you communicate and talk to your team that is working remotely. It revolves around clear communication. So this is what I mean. I've worked with several companies that they preferred communicating on Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams is a platform used for communication. I've worked with others that prefer Google Chats. I've worked with others that prefer Slack. I've worked with others that prefer WhatsApp. So the method of communication needs to be known, it needs to be agreed upon, and it needs to be understood by you as the business owner. So you know that the team members that you're working with, we are all communicating on the same platform, whatever that platform is of your choice. And when you now have that platform, you need to ensure that you have the correct processes in place along with the platform of choice. So for instance, a repeatable process could be when we receive a client, send a notification in this particular channel or group or whatever means of communication you're using for your team. When we get an issue or problem from one of our clients or one of our customers, then let us put this information into this channel. Or if it's from this person, put it into that channel. So with your method of communication, the platform that you're using to communicate on it, you define a process that will encapsulate how your team operates in that form of communication. And again, I have seen some very complex and well-defined communication processes. And I've seen others that are a little bit less strict, but it works for the business. So if there are certain processes, if there are certain methods that you are doing in your business, then you ensure that it is going through the proper channels that you have defined in your remote work operating system. So think about it like this. When a team member comes in, they are not starting from scratch. When they come in, they are not trying to figure out, hey, do I communicate here? Hey, do you prefer emails here? Hey, do you prefer a message there? They already have the operating system that you operate by, that your entire team operates by, and they just have to flow with it. So if you have your remote work operating system well defined, when it comes to getting new employees, they can quickly be able to work, they can quickly be able to be productive because your operating system is in place. And similarly as well, not only when you're onboarding or getting employees, but when you're offboarding employees as well, when you're letting them go, you have repeatable processes in place. When it comes to communication and disabling accounts, restricting access, removing certain access from certain individuals if they're being offboarded. So your remote work operating system will define how you communicate. That's the main thing. The platform that you use to communicate, the channels that you use to communicate, and then the processes that you implement on that communication platform. That is the core of your operating system, the way you communicate, and the processes revolving around that method of communication. If your team members do not know what they are supposed to do, or they have not received the level of communication that you want to give them, then they might not be able to perform. And that's very important in a remote environment, because in a remote environment, persons are obviously in separate places. So you need to be able to communicate clearly. This is how we're doing this is how we're doing that, and then have proper checks and measures in place to ensure that they have done the thing that they're supposed to do in the way that they're supposed to do it. So the key takeaway is this: a remote team needs a process that is easy to follow and streamlines communication. Your operating system does not need to be complex. It can be very simple. In fact, the simpler it is, the better. But communication is one of the biggest headaches and problems that you can have when you have a remote team or when you have a remote operation. So ensure that your operating system clearly defines your communication and clearly defines your repeatable processes. So what does closing the remote work gap really means? Well, it means that your team members can truly work from anywhere. And that could be, again, from your personal device that they can carry around, or a company device that they can carry around, or a virtual computer that they can access anywhere that they are, and the workspace, the environment is in place so that they can work efficiently. It means that they can sign in securely, that not anyone can access company files and information. And with signing securely, they also have the correct multi-factor authentications and correct policies in place to ensure that they can work effectively, that they can access the right information, not more and not less. We spoke about least privilege and we spoke about zero trust, that they can follow repeatable processes, and that repeatable processes is really based on your communication and your communication platform. That's going to be one of the most important things that you can put in place if you are building your remote work environment, and that you protect your business data. You, again, with the zero trust principles and least privileges and the necessary policies in place, your business data continues to remain protected. The key takeaway is this: remote work succeeds when structure travels with the employee. When an employee goes from one physical environment to the next, their method of work doesn't change. And with a solid remote work environment, that ensures that they work the same way no matter wherever they are. If you need assistance in deploying any one of the things that I mentioned today, grab some time with me, book a call below. It is the first or second link in the description, and I can walk you through exactly what you need to implement your remote work environment and help you deploy it as well. If you're interested in utilizing technology to grow your business, take the Tech for Growth score below. It's a completely free assessment, takes about 3 minutes. On the end of it, you will know exactly what you need to do to help push your business forward. You will know the gaps that you currently have in your business that you can now go and fix so that you can push your business forward where technology is concerned. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. I make videos like this every week. If you're interested in knowing if your technology is holding you back or pushing you forward, watch this video next.